Hi, I'm Ms. Hall, and this is Lesson 0.5, Mathematical Modeling. In this lesson, we're going to practice identifying the y-intercept, slope, equation, and interpreting the slope and y-intercept from a graph, a table, and an equation. We begin with a graph. This graph I have titled The Cost of Party Balloons. I'm currently planning a birthday party, and so this is on my mind. And in this example, I'm going to say that y represents the cost of the balloons and x represents the number of extra balloons. So when I plan a party for my sons, often like a set of balloons is included, but if I want extra balloons on top of that, I have to pay for every balloon that I want added. So looking at this graph, we can pick out the y-intercept, right? You look at the y-axis, and the y-intercept is where the graph crosses. So the y-intercept here is 30. You could write this instead as 0, 30. That would be fine. 30 is also fine. The slope. I'm going to pick 2 points to find the slope between. And slope is rise over run, or the change in y over the change in x. I find it easiest to do it from 2 points, right? This is 0, 30, and this point is 20, 60. If you do want to count the rise and run, you just have to be careful about the scale. For example, this goes up 1, 2, 3 spaces, but each tick up on the y-axis is 10. So this is really 30, and then it goes over 1, 2, 3, 4, but the scale of the x's is 5, so this is 20. I'm going to do the change in y. I'm going to subtract the y values. I'm going to go this way. So I'm going to do 60 minus 30 over 20 minus 10. And I get 30 over, 20 minus 10, what am I talking about? 20 minus 0 over 20, and this is 3 over 2, or 1.5. Since I'm talking about money, I'm going to make it $1.50. I'm going to round it to the nearest hundredth. The equation for this line is going to be in y equals mx plus b form, so y equals m is the slope, so 1.50 x plus b, and b is the y-intercept, so plus 30. Interpret the y-intercept. And so for the initial package of balloons, it's $30. So $30 for initial package of balloons. And then the slope is that each extra balloon is going to cost me $1.50. So I'm going to say $1.50 for each additional balloon. For the next example, we're going to start with a table, and this table represents the value of a copy machine. The y-intercept is when the x value is 0. So the y-intercept is 12,000. The slope is going to be, again, the change in y over the change in x, and I'm going to pick out any 2 points. So I'm going to pick out this point and this. And I'm going to subtract the y's. I like to draw myself an arrow to make sure I go the same way. So I'm going to put 12,000 minus 2,000 over 0 minus 8. And then I get 10,000 over negative 8, which is the same as negative 1,250. So I can write the equation for this line is y equals m, which is negative 1,250x plus b. Oops, I said it, but I didn't write it. X plus b. And let's interpret things. So interpret the y-intercept. So the y-intercept, this 12,000, is the value of the copy machine initially after no years have passed. So I'm going to put initial value of copy machine. And the slope, this negative 1,250, is how much the value decreases each year. So the value of the copy machine decreases. I'm going to put $, $1,250 each year. And the last example is from an equation. So this equation, I've been saying it, but I never wrote it in our notes. Let me put it. Y equals mx plus b form. Y-intercept is the b value, so it's 700. The slope is the m value, which is negative 2.25. The equation for this line was given, so I'm just going to put an arrow and write given. To interpret the y-intercept, so I didn't give you a scenario here. So the y-intercept is going to just be the initial or original amount. Interpret the slope, and that is just, again, you don't have a scenario, so that is how much is decreasing, right? That in this equation, it decreases by 2.25, right? That negative means it's going down. So decreases by 2.25. So we've got this graph labeled money and bank account. The y-intercept is 90. The slope is the change in y over the change in x. I'm going to choose this point 0, 90 and this point 45, 0. And I'll go like this. So 90 minus 0 over 0 minus 45 equals 90 over negative 45 equals negative 2. So the equation for this line is y equals negative 2x plus 90. I said it was money in a bank account, so the initial amount in the bank account is $90. So $90 is initial amount. And the slope is a negative 2, so the amount is decreasing by 2 each. I didn't give you an x, like if that's days or hours, so all I can write is decreasing by 2. I'm going to label it dollars. Decreasing by $2 every 1 unit on the x. So I'm just going to write decreasing by $2.